AITA for leaving and paying only for my own meal after her friends mocked me? I am 27 and live in Kansas City. I have been working as an electrician for almost 10 years. I make a good living keeping the lights on in this city, and I restore Harleys because apparently, I hate having free time and extra money. I met Madison, now my ex, 3 years ago at Holes Mound downtown. I was there with my buddy Wyatt celebrating his promotion. She was with her girlfriends for a birthday. We talked at the bar for an hour about everything except work, which was incredibly refreshing. She was a marketing coordinator, ambitious as hell, with that kind of I'm not like other girls energy that completely pulled me in. She seemed genuinely interested in my Harley restoration projects, asked smart questions, and laughed at my stories about struggling on job sites. For the first few months, I thought I had won the lottery. The red flags started slowly, like when I told her about a barbecue contest organized by a buddy and she asked, "Will there be normal people there too?" Or when she saw me covered in grease after working on the bike and made a face like I had stepped in dog crap and walked through her living room. Little by little, she started dropping remarks about how I should dress better when we went to her professional events, even though my only good suit cost more than a lot of people's car payments. After 18 months, we moved in together because her lease was up and my apartment in Midtown was bigger. Rookie mistake, but love makes you stupid sometimes. That is where I really messed up, her friends. 3 passive-aggressive princesses who were masters in the art of the backhanded compliment. Sabrina, the ringleader, capable of making bless your heart sound like a serious threat. Tessa, who managed to turn every conversation into a disguised bragging contest. And Kendra, an expert in those little phrases that leave you wondering if you just got insulted or complimented. Their venom was subtle at first, like the day I smoked a brisket for Madison's birthday. 14 hours of cooking, waking up at 4 a.m., the whole ritual. When her friends arrived, Sabrina inspected my setup and said, "Oh wow, it is so authentic. It looks like one of those Food Network shows. What do they call it again? Comfort food." Tessa added, "It is so cute that you made everything yourself. My boyfriend prefers making reservations somewhere, but this is more artisanal, I guess." And Kendra, with her razor-sharp smile, threw in, "At least we know Evan is good with his hands. That must come in handy in your relationship, right, Madison?" I could feel the hidden insult, but when I brought it up to Madison later, she just laughed. "She's joking, Evan. Don't be so sensitive." Strike 2, meeting my family. It was even worse. I brought her to my parents' house in Liberty. My dad is a retired union electrician. My mom works for the school district. Simple, honest people who raised us with solid values. During dinner, my mom was talking about my dad's difficult early days, the double shifts, the sacrifices. And I saw Madison texting under the table. On her screen was a group chat named The Girls. The message read, "Dinner at Evan's family's. Authentic working class experience. The house smells like frying. LOL." When my mom offered her some leftovers to take home, her famous green bean casserole that I had told Mom Madison loved, she put a hand on her stomach and replied, "Oh, that is sweet, but I am trying to watch my carbs. You know how it is." My mom's face froze for a second before she forced a smile. On the ride back, I finally told her, "That was pretty rude to my mom. Your comment about the food, I mean." I was polite. "I can't help it if I have dietary restrictions." "You have no dietary restrictions. You ate pasta 3 nights this week, Madison." "Evan, you are overanalyzing everything. Your family is nice. They are just different." "Different? Yeah, sure." The real turning point happened at Wyatt's housewarming party in Brookside. Wyatt works in HVAC. He makes a good living and never filters anything. When Sabrina spouted, "Manual labor is so important to keep society running," Wyatt looked her dead in the eye and replied, "Yeah, it must be nice to profit off other people's sweat while you sit in an air-conditioned office." Absolute silence. Later, when Tessa said her marketing job was intellectually demanding, Wyatt asked, "Demanding? How?" "Convincing people to buy stuff they don't need." I burst out laughing. Honestly, she had it coming. But on the way home, Madison absolutely tore into me. "Your friend was completely out of line tonight. He was rude and aggressive to my friends for no reason." For no reason? They were passive-aggressive all evening. He was just matching their energy. "You are way too touchy." And laughing when he went after Tessa? That was embarrassing. "Oh really?" So it is embarrassing when we call out their nonsense, but not when she spends every evening taking digs at my job and my family. She is not taking digs at anything. That is just how they talk. You see the bad in everything. And it became a pattern. They would drop their little jabs, I would fire back, and Madison would tell me I was being too sensitive or aggressive. But as soon as Wyatt or I hit the ball back, it was suddenly embarrassing. So, I started avoiding their group outings. Lots of urgent electrical emergencies and Harley parts to fix right away. Madison noticed, but said nothing, which should have been a massive red flag. Wyatt had warned me, though. Man, she is conditioning you. They are making you believe that defending yourself is the problem. It is psychological warfare. He was right, but I was too blind to see it. And then came the celebration dinner that blew everything up. Madison had just been promoted to senior marketing coordinator. Honestly, I was proud of her. She had worked hard for that position. Working late, kissing up, the whole corporate grind. When she told me, I was genuinely happy for her. I suggested we do it right. I took her and her girlfriends to the Capitol Grill downtown. My treat. Yes, I know what you were thinking. Why put myself through that? 2 reasons. I really loved her, and I wanted to mark the occasion. I figured if I pulled out all the stops, fancy dinner, good wine, maybe she would let their hostility go. Spoiler alert, it was worse, much worse. I had reservations for 7 p.m. and asked for a quiet corner table. I was ready to pay for everything. Appetizers, wine, dessert, the whole 9 yards. Madison looked stunning in a black dress I had never seen her wear. And for 5 minutes, I saw the girl I had fallen in love with. Then her friends arrived, the 4 horsewomen of the financial apocalypse. Sabrina walked in first, dressed in a designer outfit that probably cost more than my motorcycle. She had this snooty look like she was doing the restaurant a favor by stepping inside. Tessa, in full influencer mode, started photographing the breadbasket before we even ordered. And Kendra looked ready for a hostile takeover. Drinks arrived. I had a local Boulevard beer. They had cocktails with names longer than sentences and prices to match. At first, everything seemed normal. We talked about Madison's promotion, her raise, and the new corner office. She was beaming, talking about her new responsibilities and the corporate seminar in Denver. I was truly happy for her success. I even hoped that maybe tonight would be different, that her friends would finally behave like adults just this once. Then the appetizers arrived. Apparently, that was the signal to start the carnage. So, Evan, Sabrina said, cutting into her $18 shrimp cocktail like she was performing open-heart surgery. Still an electrician? Here we go, I thought. But I kept my cool. The electrical work is going great. It is because of us that the city runs. It must be nice to have such a simple job. Tessa continued without even looking up. You just follow instructions, right? Plug A into socket B. I felt that familiar tightness in my chest, but I kept my voice steady. Actually, electrical work requires a lot of technical knowledge and problem solving. Modern buildings have very complex integrated systems. Oh, please, Tessa cut in, rolling her eyes so hard you could almost see her brain. It is not like you need a degree for that. Meanwhile, Madison is killing it in corporate communications. She works with top-level executives, Kendra added without missing a beat. And what is your thing again with the motorcycles? Wasting your money on scrap metal. I restore vintage Harleys, I replied, probably a bit too defensively. I just finished a '79 Shovelhead. It is a complex hobby that requires. Kendra burst out laughing like I had just told her I collected bottle caps. And how much money do you throw away on that? Seriously, Madison, girl, you could aim so much higher. Remember Damon, the guy from the digital marketing convention? He works in real estate. He actually has ambition. I turned to Madison, waiting for her to say something, anything. But she just laughed nervously, shaking her head as if to say, "Oh, you guys are crazy," without defending me. Not a single word. The verbal assault continued through the main course. They called me a grease monkey, wondered aloud how I could understand Madison's complex marketing strategies. And Sabrina straight up said that I was lucky Madison was willing to date down. Date down. Like I was charity work or community service. Honestly, Tessa said, I don't understand what you two could possibly talk about. What does Madison even say to someone uneducated? She must have to explain everything to him slowly, Kendra added, with simple words. That is when I put my fork down and looked her dead in the eye. All right, I think that is enough. Madison let out a sigh, as if I were the one overreacting. Evan, they are just having fun. Don't be so touchy. Touchy. Kendra burst out laughing. What? Are you going to cry because we hurt your feelings? And that is when Madison looked me right in the eyes and said the sentence that destroyed everything. If you cannot handle my friends when they are being honest, you can just pay and leave. Silence fell over the table for exactly 3 seconds. Then Sabrina let out that high-pitched laugh typical of rich girls who think they have won something. She really said it. She whispered loud enough for half the restaurant to hear. I looked at them one by one. For women staring at me, waiting for my reaction. Was I going to fold? Was I going to apologize and sit back down like a good little ATM? Was I going to beg Madison to take back what she just said? Not today. Thanks for the advice, I said, standing up. I pulled out my wallet and did some quick math. My steak was $42, plus tip, let's say $50. But I left 3 $20 bills. That covers my meal, I announced calmly. Madison's eyes went wide like a deer in the headlights. Evan, sit down. Don't be dramatic. Dramatic? Defending myself is dramatic, but spending 2 hours tearing me down is just for fun. I picked up my keys from the table. Have a good evening. The entire restaurant froze as I walked toward the exit. Some patrons stared, others whispered. The hostess gave me a sympathetic look as I walked past her stand, and I kept going. Their laughter started up again before I even made it out the door. I heard Tessa distinctly. He will be back in 5 minutes. Just watch. But here is the thing. When you decide to leave, every step gets easier than the last. Once I got to the parking lot, I finally breathed for the first time in months. I got into my truck. I sat for a moment and realized something. I was not angry. I was relieved. 3 years of a relationship had just crystallized into a single moment of clarity. Nothing was going to get better. She was not going to suddenly start defending me. Her friends were not going to become decent people. 10 minutes into my drive home, my phone started buzzing. First text from Madison, very funny. Come back and pay the bill. Then, Evan, this is not funny anymore. Are you serious right now? Come back right now. I kept driving toward Midtown. The texts kept rolling in. I could almost feel the panic rising on the other end. They had not thought of one detail. They had ordered like someone else was paying. Multiple appetizers, overpriced steaks, cocktails that cost as much as a car payment, dessert, wine, everything. The bill was hovering around $500, and I had left $60. Madison called me 17 times on the way back. I did not answer any of them. By the time I arrived, I already had 4 voicemails, ranging from annoyed to furious, and then straight up panicked. I went into my apartment, grabbed a duffel bag, and packed enough stuff for a week. Clothes, toiletries, chargers. My phone was still buzzing like an angry wasp. Then I drove over to Wyatt's place in Brookside. It was 11:30 p.m. when I knocked on his door. Man, he said when he saw me with my bag. Finally, Wyatt had been telling me for 2 years that Madison's friends were toxic and that she was their ringleader. He had seen it all. Stay here as long as you want, he told me. My couch is your couch, brother. And I am proud of you. You finally had the guts to leave. For the first time in months, I was not walking on eggshells. No more traps. No more disguised sarcasm. Just peace. My phone was still vibrating, but I flipped it over and fell asleep. The best sleep I had had in years. The next morning, Wyatt was making coffee. My phone, however, was having a complete nervous breakdown. The texts had continued all night. A literal digital bombing campaign from Madison. I can't believe you humiliated me like that. My friends think you are pathetic. You left me with a $500 bill. That is so embarrassing. Send me the money on Venmo right now. Answer the phone. But wait, that is not all. Around 3 a.m., the 3 witches decided to join in too. Sabrina sent me a whole essay explaining that I was financially abusive for deceiving them into thinking I was going to pay. Apparently, leaving after being told to leave is manipulation. She also mentioned she was documenting everything for Madison's future lawsuit. A lawsuit for what? Not funding their entertainment? Tessa was more concise. You are a loser. Madison deserves better than an immature guy who can't take honest criticism. And Kendra, oh Kendra, the queen of audacity. She sent me a Venmo request for $150 with the note, reimbursement for emotional distress, and Uber ride home. Emotional distress. I took a screenshot for the history books. You cannot make this stuff up. Wyatt, who was reading over my shoulder, blurted out, "Damn, it is a contest to see who the biggest idiot of the year is." "I am going to block all of them," I said. "Wait," he said with a demonic smile. "Let me have some fun." He took my phone and texted Sabrina, "Hey beautiful. Evan asked me to tell you he is sorry, that your personality is so unpleasant it makes your face tolerable by comparison. Have a great day, ladies." To Tessa, Wyatt sent, "Evan wanted me to tell you that calling someone a loser while begging them to send you money is peak irony. By the way, your boyfriend Damon has been messaging my cousin all week. Small world." To Kendra, he wrote, "Evan thanks you for your Venmo request. He needed a good laugh. P.S. Billing someone for emotional distress after being awful to them all evening is a level of victim mentality rarely achieved. Maybe try therapy." Then he blocked them all and handed my phone back. "There. Now they can go bother someone else in private," he said. But no, these arrogant princesses were not done. They were just getting started. Around noon, violent banging echoed on Wyatt's door. Through the peephole, we could see Madison and her whole clique ready for a fight. "Evan, I know you are in there." Madison yelled so loudly the whole building could hear. "This is ridiculous. You cannot run from your responsibilities." "My responsibilities?" "Oh right, serving as an emotional punching bag and an emergency wallet." Wyatt opened the door with his shark smile. "Ladies, welcome to my humble abode. Can I offer you some human decency?" "Oh wait, sorry you are out of stock." "Where is Evan?" Sabrina demanded. "He needs to wire Madison money for last night." "He is not here," Wyatt replied calmly. "But I will pass the message along." "What was it again?" "Pay for the privilege of being insulted all night." "Got it. Don't you understand?" Kendra chimed in. "He humiliated us in public. People saw him leave." "Oh no," Wyatt gasped, putting a hand to his chest dramatically. "People saw the consequences of your actions. What a trauma. Have you ever considered therapy or basic decency classes?" Tessa tried to push past him to get inside. "We know he is here. We are not leaving until he pays." That is when Wyatt's tone changed. His smile vanished. "Ladies, you are trespassing on private property and harassing a resident. You have 10 seconds to get back in your cars before I call the cops. And I swear, having to explain to the police why you think you are owed money for verbally abusing someone is going to be a fun conversation." They stood there for 20 minutes after he shut the door, alternating between pounding on it and screaming. Finally, a neighbor called building management, and security made them leave. But the worst was yet to come. They launched a social media campaign. Madison posted on Facebook that I had abandoned her with a huge bill when she had kindly included me in her celebration. Sabrina shared the post with a long rant about toxic masculinity and financial abuse. Tessa posted photos from the dinner with captions about deadbeat boyfriends unable to handle successful women. They tagged me everywhere. Me, my family, and even my workplace's Facebook page. At 6 p.m. my mom called. "Sweetheart, some girl is saying crazy things about you online. She says you left her to pay a huge bill." Long story, Mom. Short version, I dated a spoiled brat, and it ended badly. Well, your sister saw it, and she is furious. She is in the comments defending you like it is World War III. God bless my sister. I went to check, and sure enough, she was waging an all-out war against Madison's gang. She had dug up their old text messages about our family, specifically the one about our authentic working-class experience. She had also found photos on Madison's Instagram showing her at overpriced restaurants and commented, "Someone who spends $200 on dinner every week does not really seem to be in financial distress." The comment section had become a battlefield. Half were defending Madison and her friends, talking about strong women facing fragile men. The other half, my friends, my family, and my coworkers, were defending me tooth and nail. And then Wyatt arrived in the comments like the cavalry. He had found Kendra's LinkedIn, where she bragged about her luxurious lifestyle and high standards. He posted a side-by-side collage. On one side, her professional LinkedIn photo. On the other, her Venmo request for emotional distress. Demanding marketing executive asking for emotional compensation because she didn't get a free dinner. The perfect summary of 2025. The post went viral, but not in the way they had hoped. People started sharing it as a prime example of spoiled brat behavior. And suddenly, Madison's professional reputation began to crumble. That is when the real chaos started. Tuesday, I decided to swing by the apartment while Madison was at work to grab my things. I still had my key and was still paying half the rent. So legally, I was well within my rights. But what I found inside made my blood pressure spike. First, the smell. Stale wine, takeout boxes, and an atmosphere of bottled-up rage. 2 noise complaint notices were taped to the door. Their Monday night crisis meeting had apparently turned into a riot. Great, that is going on our rental record. Then I started looking around, and my stomach tied into a knot. My PlayStation was missing from the TV stand. I found it hidden in her bedroom closet, probably because she thought I would not have the guts to confront her. But that was just the appetizer. She had raided my toolbox like a burglar. For context, I had been building my tool collection for 8 years. Not cheap stuff, professional-grade gear, the kind that pays my bills. My Klein voltage tester, my $600 Fluke multimeter, my conduit benders, my wire strippers. Half of it was gone. I searched everywhere, drawers, cabinets, the laundry room, and I found some of my gear hidden under luxury towels in the bathroom. My wire puller was stashed behind the winter coats, like she was preparing a revenge garage sale. I opened Facebook Marketplace, and bingo, listings posted by Madison. My Klein tester, $75, value $200. My Fluke multimeter, $300, value $600. My conduit bender, $50, value $150. All marked, must sell quickly. I took screenshots with the timestamps proving the listings were from yesterday morning. Then I kept searching, and that was the bombshell. She had gotten into my workshop in the garage, where I restore my Harleys. The '79 shovelhead I had been working on for 8 months was listed on Craigslist. Classic motorcycle, needs repair. $3,000 OBO. Must sell quickly, moving soon. $3,000 for a bike that is worth at least $12,000 in its current condition, and probably $18,000 once finished. A bike that is not hers. A motorcycle that represents months of work, research, and rare parts. The worst part? There were already 7 interested buyers, including one ready to pick it up that weekend. I immediately called the police non-emergency line. So, she is trying to sell your belongings without permission? The dispatcher asked. Exactly. We live together, but all of this belongs to me personally. I have the receipts to prove ownership. That is theft, sir. I can send an officer to your location to file a report. While waiting for the officer, I called Wyatt. Man, I need your trailer. Urgent. What did she do now? She is trying to sell my Harley. Are you serious? My God, what a lunatic. I will be there in 20 minutes. Wyatt arrived with his truck and trailer at the same time as the cop. The officer was pretty cool about the situation. He explained that even though dividing property between cohabitating couples can get complicated, selling someone's belongings without permission was definitely theft, especially when I had clear proof of ownership. Document everything, he advised me. Keep the screenshots of the listings. That is enough to press charges if you decide to take this further. We loaded the shovelhead onto the trailer along with all the tools she had not managed to sell yet. I secured everything of value at Wyatt's place before Madison got home. While the officer was still taking notes, my phone rang. It was Mr. Whitaker, the landlord. Evan, we need to talk about the lease. Madison called me. She says you abandoned the apartment, and she wants me to take you off the lease. And we had 2 noise complaints this week. Call me back ASAP. I stepped outside to call him. He had been my landlord for 3 years. A good guy, never had a single issue with him. She told me you left weeks ago, he explained. I left 4 days ago because of a personal issue. In fact, I am at the apartment right now with a police officer filing a theft report. She said you moved out permanently and refused to pay rent. False. I have not abandoned anything. Actually, if she wants out of the lease, I can take it over myself. I can pay the full amount with no problem. Look, between us, I would rather keep you as a tenant. You have never been late, and I never had a complaint before this week. If you want to take over the lease, we can discuss it. But the complaints, that is what worries me. Evan, one more complaint, and I will have legal grounds for eviction. The building has quiet hours, and apparently, Monday night was particularly loud. When the cop left and we finished moving my stuff, I sat in my truck and took stock of the situation. Tools stolen and put up for sale, motorcycle almost sold, noise complaints threatening my housing, a harassment campaign on social media targeting my family and my job. And not once, Not a single time had Madison apologized for what her friends said. No acknowledgement of the severity of the situation. To her, it was all about money and her bruised ego. It was time to stop playing defense and go on the offensive. The thing about arrogant people is that they only understand one language: consequences. Round 1. The theft charges. First, I officially filed the theft complaint. The officer had been clear. No matter the relationship, what she did was theft. With the case number in hand, I reached out to Madison for the first time since the dinner. You have 24 hours to return all my belongings, or I am pressing charges. This includes the tools currently listed on Facebook Marketplace under your name. Her response was immediate. Those were gifts. We lived together for 3 years. What is yours is mine. Wrong answer. I called the detective assigned to my case. She is claiming the stolen items were gifts. I have receipts proving I bought them before our relationship. Perfect, Detective Callahan told me. Ask her to provide proof of these so-called gifts. When she cannot, we will have her cornered for theft and making false statements. I sent a text. Please provide receipts or documents proving these items were gifts. Detective Callahan needs them for his report. Radio silence. Round 2. The social media war. Meanwhile, Wyatt was cooking up something magnificent. Madison's Facebook post about me had backfired spectacularly. The comments were now 70% in my favor, with people roasting her for airing her personal drama online, especially after word got out about the stolen tools. But Wyatt found the gold mine. An Instagram story from Tessa dated the day before, showing herself at another fancy restaurant, complaining about cheap men who cannot spoil a woman. Look at this, he said, showing me his phone. Posted 8 hours after she begged you for money. The sheer audacity. He took a screenshot and posted it in reply to Madison's thread. Interesting. Someone who can't pay a $500 dinner bill can afford a $150 meal the very next day. Looks like it is not really about the money after all. The post was shared 247 times in local Kansas City groups. Restaurant workers started commenting. They knew them, saying they were demanding, rude, and left little to no tip. A waitress from the Capitol Grill even wrote, I was working that night. They were awful to the staff and left 0 tip on a $500 bill. The only polite one at the table was the guy who left. Round 3, the inside man. But the final blow came from an unexpected source. Marcus, Kendra's boyfriend. He sent me a private message. Man, I saw what happened. Kendra showed me the text she sent you. It is disgusting. And then he dropped a bombshell. Want to know something about Kendra's financial situation? It turned out Kendra was lying to everyone. She had been fired from her marketing job 3 weeks earlier for chronic lateness and excessive networking, which translated to day drinking with her girlfriends. Since then, she had been living off credit cards and Marcus's salary, while pretending she was still working. The Venmo request for emotional distress? She was literally broke and hoping I would actually pay it. I am done with this, Marcus told me. Seeing her demand money from you after everything they did opened my eyes. He even sent me screenshots of their texts where Kendra called me a loser and said Madison was dating the help. Domino effect. Marcus moved out of their apartment the following weekend. Without his income, Kendra could no longer maintain her lifestyle or pay her share of the rent. A few days later, she posted on Facebook asking for temporary financial help during her career transition. You could not write irony like this into a movie. But I still had more up my sleeve, because Madison's company had a strict social media policy. No content could harm the company's image, and her Facebook post about our breakup mentioned her job title and the company's name in her bio. The harassment campaign was therefore directly tied to her professional profile. I did not even have to report her. Someone from her job saw the drama, recognized her name, and reported it internally. As a result, Madison was called in by HR on Thursday morning. Apparently, publishing humiliating personal stories while representing herself as a company employee violated several clauses of their code of conduct. And the cherry on top, Sabrina. Remember how she said she was documenting everything for when Madison sues me? Well, she wanted to take it a step further. She posted a fake Google review on my electrical contracting business, calling me incompetent and unreliable. Minor issue, commercial defamation is illegal in Missouri. Another issue, she was foolish enough to do it under her real name with her linked Facebook profile. My business lawyer sent her a cease and desist letter right away on Friday afternoon. The Google review vanished within hours, but not before Wyatt grabbed a screenshot as proof. Saturday morning, I decided to go full scorched earth. Detective Callahan called me Tuesday morning. She brought most of the tools back to the precinct yesterday. She claims it is a misunderstanding about shared property. Do you still want to press charges? Absolutely. She also forged my signature on the Craigslist ad for the motorcycle. That is fraud. We will add that to the file. The preliminary hearing was set for the following Friday. Madison arrived with an expensive lawyer, looking like she wanted to melt into the courtroom floor. Her lawyer tried to play the domestic dispute angle, claiming this was all just relationship drama that had gotten out of hand. The prosecutor was not having it. The Thursday before, a lawyer from a big downtown firm had called me. Mr. Evan, we would like to reach an amicable settlement to avoid prosecution. My client is willing to compensate you for the inconvenience and cover your legal fees if you drop the case. I replied, here is my counteroffer. She pleads guilty to theft, pays full restitution, and stays away from me. No negotiating on the charges. He hung up. 5 minutes later, I received a Venmo transfer for $1,847. Apparently, what she had calculated as the cost of the tools and listing fees. Too little, too late. The preliminary hearing was a bloodbath. Madison showed up in a borrowed pantsuit, pale as a ghost. When the judge asked for my proof of ownership, I had 6 years' worth of receipts and photos from my insurance. When he asked her for proof that they were gifts or shared property, her lawyer whispered frantically before admitting they had nothing. Boom. Guilty plea for misdemeanor theft. The result: 1 year of probation, a $2,500 fine, full restitution, and the conviction on her permanent record. Actions have consequences. But that was just the beginning. Madison's company had a strict policy. Every employee had to report any criminal conviction within 30 days. When HR found out about the theft charge, they started questioning her judgment and professionalism. The result? Promotion revoked. She was transferred to a department nobody wanted, managing problem accounts. That same week, Mr. Whitaker, the landlord, served her with an eviction notice. The noise complaints and police visits over the theft investigation had violated several clauses of the lease. She had 30 days to vacate the premises. And Sabrina? Her fake Google review backfired spectacularly. My lawyer filed a commercial defamation lawsuit for $15,000 in damages related to the harm done to my professional reputation. Her insurance preferred to settle out of court for $8,000 rather than go to trial, and then dropped her coverage afterward. Good luck finding insurance with a defamation settlement on your record, Sabrina. And 3 weeks later, she got fired. Someone from HR stumbled upon her LinkedIn where she was posting messages about managing difficult people and unprofessional contractors. They made the connection. She was representing the company while being at the center of a defamation lawsuit, violating their communication policy and code of conduct. Tessa collapsed under the weight of her own numbers. Her boyfriend Damon checked her credit report when renewing their lease and discovered $47,000 in credit card debt. She had been living on credit for 2 years. When he confronted her, she tried to convince him that they were investments in their shared future and that he should help her pay it off. He moved out that very weekend. Without Damon, it was impossible to pay her debts. She had to sell her car, move back into a shared apartment, and work as a night shift waitress. The influencer lifestyle vanished overnight. And finally, the reigning champion, Kendra. Marcus did not just move out. He had documented everything for months. The Venmo requests, the demands for gifts, the restaurant bills he was forced to cover. He handed it all over to a friend who was a family law attorney, who filed a restraining order for emotional and financial abuse. As a result of the court order, Kendra failed the background check for her new job at a marketing agency. She had already been out of work for 6 weeks, had burned through her savings trying to keep up appearances, and when her parents found out about her legal troubles, they cut her off financially completely. Last I heard, she is working at a call center in Independence, living in a studio apartment that smells like cigarettes and defeat. The friend group completely imploded. When Madison lost her salary and her apartment, she could no longer play the group's wallet. Sabrina, ruined by legal fees, could not make up the difference. Tessa was grinding away at 2 jobs. Kendra was persona non grata with a restraining order. They started blaming each other. Kendra accused Madison of ruining their lives by dating someone from a different background. Sabrina said she was only telling the truth and everyone else was too sensitive. Tessa claimed they were all toxic influences who had destroyed her judgment. The group chats went dead. The dinner invitations stopped. 3 years of fake friendship evaporated the moment their financial comfort disappeared. Meanwhile, I moved into a new loft in the Crossroads district, finished restoring the shovelhead, and picked up enough contracting jobs to buy a second motorcycle to fix up. On Sundays, Wyatt still brings over barbecue from LC's, and we spend the day working on the bikes without anyone saying it is a waste of money. Marcus drops by sometimes too. We swap updates about our exes and their legal woes, and we laugh about how much better life gets when you stop funding other people's stupidity and arrogance. Life is good. Comment. It is incredibly important to remember your worth when you find yourself surrounded by people who constantly try to tear you down. Setting firm boundaries is not an act of aggression, but a necessary step to protect your mental health and inner peace. You always have the right to walk away from tables where respect is no longer being served. True companions will uplift you and celebrate your hard work instead of belittling your honest efforts. We must remember that every action we take carries real consequences. Treating others with genuine kindness is the only sustainable way to build lasting relationships. Healing begins the moment you stop accepting toxic behavior and start investing in your happiness. Taking responsibility for your well-being sometimes means leaving certain people behind so you can move forward safely. I hope you always find the courage to surround yourself with people who value your character. Please share your thoughts below on how you protect your peace and stay true to yourself. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.